Right behind me, almost 40 years ago, a teenage girl was brutally murdered. Before I begin the video, I need to preface by saying, first and foremost, there's not hardly any information pertaining to this crime available online. All I know is that this crime occurred on the 700 South block of Walnut Street, which is where we're currently located right now. It happened in an apartment building. This is a residential neighborhood. I see an apartment right there, but that would probably not be it. Here is an empty lot. The building could have been here. But what we do know is this. So on the evening of August 28, 1986, 17-year-old Bridget Stone is babysitting a couple of kids for Verna Peoples. Now, I do not know if they were family members, if they were friends or neighbors. I don't even know if this was her first time babysitting them. So, Verna, from what I gather, works graveyard shift. So she leaves and she goes to work, and Bridget Stone puts the children to bed. They're 3 and 4 years of age. About 6:40 a.m., Mrs. Peoples comes back from work and she opens the door to her apartment, and when she walks inside, she turns down a hallway, and at the foot of one of the bedrooms is Bridget, dead, lying in a massive pool of blood. And immediately she calls 911. Sherman police arrived to the scene. Bridget was found nude from the waist down. She had her throat cut. However, the wound inflicted upon her that would kill her was a stab wound to the heart. In this case, I don't know if they gathered any fingerprints. I don't know if any DNA was recovered. All I know is that police believe that Bridget was murdered sometime between 4 and 6 a.m. There was no sign of a break-in, so possibly whoever murdered her, she let in. Nothing was stolen. This was not a robbery. This was a sick and twisted murder that was done upon Bridget by an unknown person. They did recover the murder weapon. However, I don't know if the weapon was actually the weapon. It was a butcher knife that was found. I don't know if it had blood on it. I have no idea. I think the only people who know about this case, it's in their files at the Sherman Police Department. The final resting place of Bridget Denise Stone. I don't see any other family members in the vicinity. They might be here. I don't see any others around this area right here. These are the stories that bother me by far the most, when there's just not a lot of information and it's just a unsolved murder, a cold case, and some bastard murdered her in the most violent way, and justice was not brought for this young lady nor her family. I was doing a story over in Burleson, and I had to walk into the police department to ask them a question. And when I was in the lobby, I seen a flyer that had this woman's picture on it. Her name is Cynthia Botroy, and she's been missing now for 5 years. Cynthia is from Omaha, Nebraska originally, and in the early 2000s, she moved down here to Texas. She met a man, got married, had 2 kids, got divorced. During the divorce proceedings, her oldest son is living with the father in Fort Worth. Her youngest son is living with her in Crowley, where she works as a substitute teacher. Now, if anybody remembers February, end of January going into February 2021, there's a big storm that's coming down here to Texas. I was here at that time, and it was very, very cold. Power got knocked out over the entire state, and there was snow and ice everywhere. You know that in Texas, when it comes to ice and snow, we don't handle it very well. February 3rd, 2021, it's about 10:30 p.m. This is the exact location where Cynthia was last seen. Now, her family didn't know Cynthia was missing until about 2 days later, on February 5th, when her son said that his mom hadn't been home in a couple days. So one of Cynthia's family members calls the ex-husband and says, "Do you know where Cynthia is?" And he says she's in the hospital. So they said, "Oh, okay, well, at least we know where she's at." They call the hospital. She's not there. She was never there. She never checked in. This gas station right here is the last known place that she was seen alive. She pulled out with her blue Mazda small SUV, and she would head south on the 35. At least I'm assuming. So about 2 weeks later, this storm has hit the entire state of Texas, and pretty much everything is shut down. And I want to say a Texas DPS trooper going south on the 35 in Waco finds Cynthia's car. Now, her family says that she did not know anybody in Waco, so she would technically, other than her being able to do whatever she wants because she's a grown adult, she wouldn't have any business in Waco. And also, according to the Dateline article, that she did have like a mental health episode in 2016. I have no idea if Cynthia was on any kind of medication. And the eyewitnesses here at this gas station did indicate that Cynthia's behavior was kind of odd. Now, I don't know how odd is, if she was talking to herself, or maybe she was just kind of making erratic movements with her body or what have you. I have no idea. But 5 years later, a woman, 39 years of age, has a career in front of her, 2 children, and she just disappeared. This is something that she has never done before, and this is something that's very unlike her. If anybody has any information on the whereabouts of Cynthia Botroy, please contact the Crowley Police Department. Their number is 817-297-2276, 817-297-2276. One last thing that I failed to mention, there is a $50,000 reward that has been put up by the family for any information to the whereabouts of Cynthia. And last thing, I don't know why her ex-husband would say she's in the hospital unless he meant that she checked herself into a mental hospital. She was having a mental breakdown. Possibly that seems like that would be the case. Who knows? I have no idea.